yeah, there's like some camping and stuff there, so that'll be good. And then tomorrow I'll do 20, 44.
4 months today. I'm finished. Hell yeah. Perfect weather. It was a little breezy earlier, but it is shaping up to be a sweet finish. I'll check in a bit.
Okay. So who are you? I'm Tony Kovicak. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm 38 years old. In the middle of taking a year off, I'm riding my bike across the country. I just got to Portland on a 4-month journey. And yeah, I'm just basically living the dream a little bit every day. You know, the trip started in Florida, basically. You know, in April I took off from Florida, rode up the coast, went to Asheville, just randomly met, you know, folks along the way, ended up staying with a person, you know, stayed with Jack and met you, and just randomly, you know, 3 months later, it's like, here we are, we're in Portland, hanging out. It's been a pretty interesting ride, you know. You know, I started off with a friend. He made it about a third of the way through, and
So peaceful. What are you listening to, though?
The Beastie Boys.
I didn't really know what it was going to be like being solo for like that kind of time, but you know, just like when I met you and met people along the way, every day turns into something. You know, I've kind of learned going through this that even on the lowest and most profound and toughest days, when I'm thinking, should I carry on? Like, what's going to happen if I don't? Could I end this and still, you know, live with myself, kind of thing? And something cool always happens. You always meet someone. You always have a better day than what you had the day before. And I've kind of learned along the way that everything is going to take its course. You know, you spend a whole day on the bike, 6, 8, 9 hours. You do 3, 4, 5 days of camping in a row. Haven't really like crossed paths with anybody. It gets pent up. You know, you go into these cities or you go into these areas and like you just want to chit chat, right? And then you meet people, and sometimes you're not even wanting to chat, and then the people want to talk with you. And you know, if you're open to that, I've found that like being vulnerable and being humble, and you know, it always kind of equates to people wanting to help. I've kind of learned across this ride that, you know, whether you're inspiring people or being inspired by people, you know, I was riding and I didn't really know, how difficult of a trip it was going to be. I thought physically it was going to be harder than it was mentally. It's definitely harder mentally. Physically, you kind of condition to it. Met a guy that took us in and let us stay at his place. I ended up going to a music festival with him, hanging out with him for 3 days. He took care of us and, you know, took us into his house, just meeting us in an hour. You know, that was amazing. And like spending a day with him at a festival with him and his buddies was awesome. Just, you know, people cut from the same cloth, especially in the bike community, in the bike world. They just want to help, and they're inspired by what you're doing, and you just sit down and you spend time with them, you have some beers, and you know, you help out, and you kind of integrate into people's lives where you can. Just putting yourself out there and being vulnerable. You know, the people and their, you know, the connections that you make. Like, I've driven across the country. You know, you're isolated in a car. I've driven across the country a bunch of times and can't remember a single person that I've met, right? And now I'm looking back through photos and looking at even just sitting here, and this is profound in a lot of different ways that you can have this kind of experience when you put yourself out there. So I'll look back and, you know, the people that I've met that have taken me in and, you know, fed me and, you know, given me clothes and worked on my bike and driven me places, and you know, the kind of support I've gotten on the road is incredible. So I'll look at that and just I'll pay that forward for the rest of my life. You know, also, you know, through Norman Ashley met a girl, and it was pretty cool. It was a really good time. We had a good weekend. We're planning on seeing each other again. So you know, we'll see what happens when I get back. I'm gonna head down there and kind of see where it takes me. So should be a good time.
All right, see the ocean, but it's not without hiccups. I just wiped out literally a mile ago going down one of these hills, and there's no shoulder, and I tried getting back on and just absolutely ate shit. Not cool, but no damage, nothing hurt, just kind of scraped up. So less than a mile, I think, from completion. I see the ocean.
Got time, you know, going across the country is really just, it's basically a war of attrition with yourself. You look at it, it's, you know, 80 days of riding, and, you know, when you look on a map, it's not much, but when you add up 80 little micro dots, it puts you across the country. You know, at the end of the day, everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna work out how it's supposed to. You're gonna have hard days, you're gonna have great days. Regardless of the hardships you have, there's always gonna be, you know, there is no bitter without the sweet.
Butterfly's been racing us for about a mile.
And the connections and the people that have inspired me, there's no amount of money that you can basically harness that's going to allow you to have the kind of experience that you could have doing something like this. People that are, you know, at different paths of their life, or long, you know, near the end of their lives, and they, you know, they're inspiring, and everybody's saying, I wish I would have done something like that. So it's been a cool ride.